Well, today's episode is going to be an exciting review. As you know, we have two Joshi promotions, the top ones that had their biggest pay-per-views ever. One is Stardom with Midsummer Champions. As you know, some of the championships were put on the line, and there's other things that took place. I'm like, dang, I couldn't believe it happened. And of course, we cannot forget Tokyo Joshi Pro with Summer Sun Princess, which I'm excited to review. And of course, we got ChocoPro 243, I think, which we know this is going to be one of two of the last times we see Balin Aki for 2 months. As you know, he'll be doing a US tour. We cannot forget NWA USA. But if I'm able to catch for our last review the New Japan Strong, then I'll do that. If not, then I apologize in advance. And of course, we cannot forget some news updates, some things that now come to my attention I feel I need to share with everyone watching this channel. So, let's get ready for another episode of the Deleted Wrestle Zone.
Are you ready? Get up, get up! 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 Get up, get up!
Welcome everybody to the Deleted Wrestle Zone, all things is pro wrestling with AEW, NXT, New Japan Pro Wrestling, Impact Wrestling, the National Wrestling Alliance, various promotions, wrestlers, matches, and championships. I am your host, Jay right here. So, let's begin with Stardom Midsummer Champions. This took place today, which is the 9th of July, and it took at Japanese local time. So it was already ahead of us. Now, I did not see the dark match, but there was a dark match prior before that. It was a three-way match between Lady C versus Hina versus Yuko Sakurai. Now, I was a bit confused about this because originally Yuko was supposed to be in that 12-person elimination tag team match, but I'll explain a little bit about that a little bit. But however, that match I did not see, but I did hear that, of course, it was Lady C who won the match, pinned Hina, her own teammate from Queen's Quest, so it made perfect sense. Now let's get to the opening match of the card. We have the Future of Stardom Championship between Waka Tsukiyama versus Hana. Now this match was set upon prior before that. It was originally supposed to be a singles non-title match, but back in June 28th at Corkin Hall, Hana made the interesting move to make this match into a title match. Now, this was an opportunity that that Waka did not anticipate it was going to happen, because, as you know, the rule is you have to have some wins or pin the champion. Apparently, Waka had neither. But, however, Hana felt that, this was a long overdue thing for Waka, because this is something very good. And of course, everybody in Cosmic Angels are very happy for her, and of course, us fans as well. Because she's getting a match for a title. And I know many fans are saying this could be the day. But I have to say, she did pretty good. She was very focused. But however, I think the resiliency, the abilities that, of course, Hana has displayed was way too much, until finally Hana applied the German suplex, giving her to retain the title. And of course, this was a huge disappointing loss for Waka, but we do know she will one day have that title in around her waist, and I would love to see Tam put it on her, because I feel it's going to be proper right there. Now our next match, this one is a tag team match. We got God's Eye members Mirai and Ami Sourei taking on Queen's Quest, Miyuyamashita and Utami Hayashida. Now, the beginning of Before the Bell Rings, Miyuyamashita went straight beelining to God's Eye, like taking the fight to them. Now, you can say that's improper, but I feel like she's still frustrated with the way she lost her match to Julia. But I don't blame her for feeling that. But however, when it comes to Mirai and Ami Sooty, they're two of the most powerful wrestlers right now. I mean, not to mention they put stars, FWC to their limits for those tag titles. But it was good. But unfortunately, it was Mirai who picked up the victory with the armbar that she normally applies to all opponents, giving Miyuyamashita, Miyu Amasaki to tap out. Next up, we got 8-person tag match. We have Odatai consistent of Footkeeganrina, Ruka, and what's her name? Saki Kashima to take on Stars, Sayaida, Koguma, Azuki, and Mayu Iwatani. Now, as you know, these two units really hate each other, been at each other's throats for a long time now. I think this was a very interesting match. It had no story development, but however, in this one, Rina was the one who applied a very strong gory bomb onto Sayaida, giving her the victory. Now, our next match is the high-speed championship between Momokogo and Azumi. Now, before this, Azumi never considered Momokogo a worthy challenger, but she accepted her challenge. The reason is that, Momokogo felt that she was a rightful competitor for Azumi, since she trained in Mexico for a good while. If you guys remember, before coming to Stardom, she ended up going. She was making appearances in Ice Ribbon. She even joined Tsukushu Aruka and Tsukasa Fujimoto in their excursion to Mexico, and I thought it would be. She felt that would help her get a chance. Well, she did, but even though Azumi ignored her, I have to say, in this match, she did throw in a little bit of Lucha Libre style, which is something she really learned a lot. She picked up a few things, but it was still not enough with someone like Azumi. As you know, she's one of the best high speedsters in Japan, but it was until she finally applied numero uno submission onto her, forcing her to tap out. But once the match was over, before Rossy Ogawa comes out to hand over the belt, she was surprisingly stomped on the chest by none other than Rina. So it doesn't take a true genius. What was that all about? So it looks like that Rina had decided to insert herself as the next challenger for the high-speed title. Now, our next match, this one is the much interesting one that I mostly was curious about. The reason is I'm a big fan of the Cosmic Angels, as you know, but this was more of the epic conclusion between Tam, Nakano, and Natsupoi. We have, of course, in DDM, we have Mai Sakurai, Natsupoi, Himeka, Maika, and Julia taking on Cosmic Angels and Colors. Hikari Shimizu, Saki, Unagi Sayaka, Mina Shirakawa, and Tam Nakano. So it started out, of course, exactly like people might have thought, Tam versus Natsupoi, but this is how the elimination match went through. The first two that were eliminated was, in fact, Mina and Himeka when they went over the top rope. As you know, these two, in fact, don't like each other because Mina hasn't forgotten what happened at the Fight to the Top pay-per-view, where, of course, Himeka used her finisher. But what happened is they both were right at the apron. So Mai Sakurai tried to kick Mina out, but in the process, Mina dragged Himeka out, and of course, I think Maika did not see that coming. But of course, Mai Sakurai had to deal with both Tam and Hikari Shimizu until Hikari Shimizu applied a very interesting spinning kick right in her face, giving her the chance to win, and she was out. But however, it was Maika who was very impressive when she took out Unagi and Hikari Shimizu with the Michinoku driver twice, each giving them the advantage. But however, it was, of course, Saki who picked up the next pin when she took out Maika. But it was, in fact, the last two showdown. As you know, I've mentioned this before. Saki is the leader of Colors, and as for Tam, the leader of Cosmic Angel. So this is kind of like a very interesting dynamic. But however, on the DDM side, we have Julia and Natsupoi. I was impressed with the whole thing, but however, it was Julia who eliminated Saki when she went over the top rope, leaving Tam as the only person surviving in her unit. It was a 2-on-1. But the biggest shock that no one anticipated, I even saw this all over Twitter, Natsupoi purposely super kicked Julia. Everybody were stunned, including DDM, including Tam, Colors, and Cosmic Angels. But the next thing you know, Natsupoi asked Tam to super kick Julia, and then she German suplexed her, giving her the next elimination. And then, of course, Natsupoi eliminated herself. No one knew what was going on. Everybody was like all dead silence, like they can't believe what just happened. Even Tam had the expressions like what did you do? So it was still unclear why. Now, since there was no translation, it was told later during clips that they put in Twitter that Natsupoi respects Tam. So basically she made the decision to resign her position with DDM, but find her resolution in Cosmic Angels, which of course this was a major blow for DDM. As you know, DDM are trying desperately to get back on track with their momentum that they lost ever since Sooty and Mirai left. But of course, everyone had their own words to say too. But I can tell Himeka was not happy with the decision. But the one person that was hurt with this betrayal was in fact Tekla, because Tekla and Natsupoi really got close together as good friends. So basically, now this is the second member in DDM who it was throwing the tears. The first one you guys may have remembered, it was Mai Sakurai. Mai Sakurai didn't even say a word. She just kept quiet. So it's still unclear what's going to happen now with DDM, since now they're reduced to 5 people. This is like a reverse thing that we saw with Cosmic Angels, like back in February. They only reduced to 4, and then we saw that with Queen's Quest. But now it looks like Cosmic Angels are reducing to 1 more member. So it was interesting, but you can tell in the end, this is what I broke into tears watching this. Natsupoi was like taking a little breather, but of course Tam, who's been her closest friend from years ago, tried to find her comfort knowing that she has her back. And of course they kind of buried the hatchet knowing that this whole thing had to end. But of course it doesn't take long until everybody, both Colors and Cosmic Angels, agreed to allow her to join in, which was very surprisingly. No one anticipated this was going to happen, but why did they allow her to have 9 members? Now, there is a commonality on this one. Maybe Cosmic Angels could be the next unit that will be popular in Stardom, because their popularity has been growing and growing, because I'm a fan of that. But I will do a a discussion video about this. But in case, I know people are saying on Twitter that this thing is not going to work out. It can, because as you guys know, Colors, they're not officially full-time members of the Stardom roster. They are freelancers. They're being paid to be there when they're being booked. So it would make sense, even though we will see them from time to time from some of the important matches. But I will talk about that at both my podcast and, of course, I make a discussion video based on this. Now, our next match, we have the Wonder of Stardom Championship, aka the White Belt. This is between Saya Kamitani and what's her name? Oh yeah, Starlight Kid. Now, keep in mind, this is not the first time Starlight Kid has tried to obtain this belt. She had tried before, one time with Julia, but that was the process where, before she was in Stars, she lost Julia ripped off her mask. And then after that, when she joined Odatai, she did challenge it when Tam was still a champion. So this was a very unique situation how it was. But however, in this particular match, Starlight Kid had to be more vicious than she's ever was. She targeted the knee of Saya Kamitani. As you know, Saya Kamitani is an amazing high flyer. So basically trying to eliminate the common factor of her ability, which was her knee. Her legs, in order to not apply, but it did not work. However, even though she was limping, but it did give her the opportunity to apply the Phoenix Splash onto Kid to retain the title. Now, as soon as everything was done, Colors leader and also member of the Allied Force with Cosmic Angels, Saki, comes out, has issued herself as the next challenger. So this is a very interesting development, seeing Saki pursuing the white belt. Now, I would have imagined either Mina or Unagi would have been the ones to do it, because I know that Unagi has challenged her before and she lost. But Saki would make a little more sense. But do I think she's going to win it? That's something that's yet to be seen until that happens. But however, that does not end. As you recall, not too long ago, she was Kamitani was visited by none other than Kairi saying there was going to be a tag match. But out of nowhere, here comes Stardom legend, someone who's been in this promotion longer, Nanane Takahashi, shows up and revealed herself to be Kairi Sane's tag team partner. This was a huge surprise. So this is one of Kairi Sane's oldest friends. But the obvious question does remain: who is Kamitani's tag team partner? And the person who volunteered was, surprisingly to me, Lady C. She even stood right in front of the legend, right in front of her face. He even tell her, "Who in the hell told you this is opening freestyle miking or whatever?" But it appears now we're gonna have that match between Kamitani and Lady C of Queen's Quest taking on Kairi Sane and Nanane Takahashi. Now, our main event, we have the World of Stardom Championship, aka the Red Belt, between Momo Watanabe and Sooty. Now, this history between these two dates back last year at the finals of the 5-star Grand Prix. Now, keep in mind, that particular match was the time where Sooty was already on her way to become the Red Belt champion. But Momo was desiring to have this belt, so she couldn't do that with Queen's Quest since Utami was the champion. But since then, Utami lost that belt to Sooty. Now it gave Momo Watanabe the opportunity to obtain a belt that she felt that she should be desiring for. So, but however, as you know, Momo has changed a lot, not since last time. She's more vicious, more deadly, doing everything in her power to soften up Sooty. Not to mention even putting a wrench in her shin guards, kicking her in the face, thinking that would end it, but it did not. But however, every time Sooty tried to apply her like the numero dos leg lock on the back of the head, like to try to squeeze it, she tried to get out of it twice, but the third time she failed and she had no other choice but to tap out. But in the process, she might have injured her knee. Now, we don't know for sure if the knee actually played a factor losing, but however, during the post-match promo, Sooty has noticed how much Momo has changed. But however, the next thing we know, we did not anticipate he will be the next challenger, but I think this is one that many fans were hoping for, and this is, of course, none other than Cosmic Angel leader Tam Nakano. Now, we know that Tam has been desiring to win this belt. She even talked about it months ago, but she never got the chance, and now this is the perfect opportunity for her. So I don't know when this match will take place, but I can't wait to see it. So it's kind of interesting that the Allied forces, two of its leaders, Cosmic Angel's leader and the Cubs leader, are going for the two of the most precious belts in Stardom. It's kind of interesting, isn't it? But we'll see what happens when that match takes place. But at the moment, I feel like everything's happening. Oh, one more thing. If you guys have Twitter, by any chance, if you got to see a picture of Waka Tsukiyama with a neck brace, it seems that she might have injured herself in her match. Now, you probably might have saw her during the post-match of the elimination match. She wasn't wearing it. So it was, according to what Twitter fans were saying, that it happened right after the show. So we're not sure if this is anything serious, but I did review back the match that Waka was in. It seems like there was a bit of concern because I saw the expression of the Cosmic Angels when that happened. So we'll see how things go. But right now, I believe I took a lot of time on this one because there was a lot of things that took place. So good thing I actually got to see it. So right now, let's move on to the next review, and I believe this is Tokyo Joshi Pro Wrestling, Summer Sun Princess. Okay, so let's talk about Tokyo Joshi Pro Wrestling with Summer Sun Princess 2022. This took place around the same day as, of course, Stardom's Midsummer Champions. It opened up with Moka Miyamoto taking on Julia Nagano. Now, these two girls are more interesting because they have teamed up in the past. The only interest is that they both have a bit of the martial arts background. Now, you probably would have said Julia would have won this match because she has a bit more experience. But however, the way I see it, Moka on the other hand has been there the longest. She's been there long before Julia has ever been. But it was pretty interesting that she put her in a very interesting submission that forced her to tap out, and I think it was a pretty good upset for her, a really good win for her. Next up, we got a very interesting tag team match, an 8-person tag. We have team number 1, the Bird, Kaya Toribami, the Cat, Aruka Neko, Naoki Kuda, and our resident superhero Hyper Masao taking on Pam Harajuku, Raku, who's the fan favorite, Yuki Inoue, and of course, the legend Aja Kong. Now, this is the most funniest thing that took place. I don't know what Hyper Masao was trying to do. It turns out she was trying to switch people around. She wanted to join Aja Kong's side by replacing Pam Harajuku, but I don't think Aja Kong wanted that. But not to mention, Aja really is okay with the team she's with. But not to mention, she's good friends with Raku. But it was a real fun match. Not to mention, you can't even beat someone like Aja Kong. She's a big woman, but she's a legend. And I thought it was pretty great. But it was, in fact, Yuki Inoue who picked up the victory by pinning. I don't remember. I think it was Kaya Toribami. I think that was a pretty good match. Yeah, it was Kaya. Next match, we were originally supposed to have Miyu Watanabe taking on Willow Nightingale, but due to Willow Nightingale not getting her visa things to be done right, she was replaced with Ryumi Tsunami, who I have to say it was a pretty good match. I love the idea how this was it. Now, we all seen Ryumi Tsunami, how she is in the ring. We've seen the kind of energy she can throw in, even especially when she gets the fans all fired up in her during her match. But one thing I do like is how Miyu Watanabe was using her strength. You all know that she likes to do the spin to her opponents. She failed the first time, but the second time worked. And I have to say, it was a really awesome match. But unfortunately, it did not go exactly to Miyu Watanabe's plan. But it was great. But it was Ryu Mizunami who walked out with the victory with a pinfall. But Ryu Mizunami praises Miyu. Ryu Mizunami praises Miyu Watanabe for the power she can do. And I think that's a good thing for someone like her to give out props to Miyu Watanabe. I'm sure Miyu would appreciate that. Now, our next match, we have Mahito Kiru and Yuki Kamifuku taking on Hikari Noa and Hikari Shida. Now, if you guys remember back in March, Shida and Noah faced off each other in a hardcore match, which of course Shida came out on top. But this was a very unusual pairing. But I say this was a very unique and I say good pairing because these two like to fight outside the ring, like take the matter to soften up their opponents on the outside, and I think that it fits in perfectly. But I wouldn't mind seeing Shida bring Hikari Noah because, if you know, Tokyo Joshi Pro does have a working relationship with AEW. It would fit perfectly in their power. I'm like, wow. But it was Hikari Ashida with the Falcon Arrow onto Mahito Kiru to pick up the victory. Now, I already mentioned about Maxi Impaler on the last episode with the news updates. Next match, we have a very interesting one where we got Suzumi teaming up with May Shuri, called himself May Be Surprise. Get it? May Be Surprise. MEIBEE Surprise. So that's the kind of group what they call themselves. The reason this happened because, as you know, recently Mai Shiruga had her 4th year anniversary at Got to Move in Shinkiba, and of course it was amazing. But Suzu wanted to team up with her to take on their opponents, Arisu Indo, who in fact was is also Suzume's partner for Daisy Monkey, and of course Got to Move's Ace, Rio. Now, I mentioned this because I can sense there's tensions between both Rio and May. Now, Balinaki made an excellent point last year when the Super Asia Championship was put out. That when Rio left Got to Move, she was the ace of Got to Move. But there were those who were saying that Mei Shiruga should have been the next ace after Rio, and that was great. And I think that kind of should have happened. But in this case, it was in fact what's her name? Suzumi, who picked up the victory by pinning Arisu Endo. I thought it was a great match, but a very disappointing loss. But don't be surprised if we will see that match between both Mei Shiruga and Rio facing off. Now, our next match is the International Princess Championship. We have Alex Windsor, all the way from Pro Wrestling Eve. They do have a working relationship with them. Unfortunately, Alex Windsor could not get her gear done, but luckily, one of the English commentators, you know him. He's part of CDK, Chris Brooks, loaned her his shin guards, and her opponent is none other than Maki Ito. I thought this match was great, but this one showed a little differently. Now, I failed to mention this. We have audience cheering and throwing streamers. It was a great feeling to have that throughout the entire event. But the one thing it was clear is that all the people were cheering for Maki Ito because it was the home field advantage. Maki Ito, the local girl, taking on a foreigner, and I thought it was pretty great. But however, Alex Winslow showed her powerness, that she is the international wrestler that she is. And I thought it was amazing the way it goes. But she pulled up the upset by defeating Maki Ito, so it was becoming the brand new International Princess Champion. So I did not anticipate that, but it was great. But the real question is, what's next for Maki Ito? That is the obvious. I feel that she needs to team up with Miyuyamashita to fulfill one thing they should have done from the very beginning, is to get the tag titles. Now, speaking of Miyuyamashita, she faces off against La Mera Mera Thunder Rosa. This was a non-title match. However, Thunder Rosa did stated that if she beats her in this particular match, she will give her a title shot, but not in Japan, in the United States. I think that's going to be a great thing. But of course, you know how Tony Khan is. He'll make it happen. This is going to be some tough negotiations. But the match itself was great. As you know, they're both had similar styles. Remember, Thunder Rosa does have an MMA background, and that fits in perfectly with her. So I thought it was great until finally Miyuyamashita kicked her in the face, knocked her out. 1, 2, 3. Good night, Thunder Rosa, and she gets her title shot. Now our next match is the Princess Tag Team Championships. We got A Cannon, consistent of Yuki Arai and Saki Akai, taking on the Magical Sugar Rabbits, the current champions. I thought this match was amazing because, as you know, Yuki Arai never had held any championship yet. I thought it was amazing. I did like how Yuki was trying to make sure that Saki does her job, like her part, finishing off the match. And I think that helped a lot for Saki to finish it off. And that's how she won the tag titles, by doing the, I forgot what she calls it, but it was amazing how it ended. And this gave Yuki an opportunity now that she can say, yes, I'm finally a champion. This is the same kind of feeling that I remember that, what's her name? Miyu Watanabe had when she teamed up with Rika Tatsumi. But yeah, it was great. So congratulations, Yuki. Now our main event is the Princess of Princess Championship. We have Rika Tatsumi, who won the #1 contendership at Cyberfight Festival in a 4-way, taking on the champion Shoko Nakajima. Now, keep in mind, this is one of those tough matches. Now, we know the kind of person Rika Tatsumi is. She does have the deadliest hip attack, and there are certain times she doesn't play dirty. She likes to do things differently. I mean, everybody in the roster knows it, including the ring announcer. But I thought it was great, but it was the senton diving bomb by Shoko Nakajima to Tatsumi that allowed her to retain the title. I thought it was good. So the show was amazing, and not to mention, I give props to Chris Brooks and Balinaki for doing an amazing job, you know, doing the English commentating. So it was great. So I think that's pretty much it what we got with Tokyo Joshi Pro. So I believe it's time for a ChocoPro 243. Okay, ChocoPro 243. This is one of the last two events that you will see by Leonaki for what some time before he takes his 2-month US tour. Now, as you know, he gave an emotional speech and all this other stuff, but it's not the end from there. But we'll see what happens during the entire thing. Now, our opening match, we have tag team action. We got Sayaka Obihiro teaming with Shonshiru to take on the members of CDK, Masahiro Takanashi, and Chris Brooks. Now, this match, as you know, this is always there's always the kind of tag team that CDK has always done. They always have good courting ways, but of course, Masa likes to play a little dirty. But it was his way to pin Sayaka Obihiro to pick up a very good win. And I'm sure Sayaka is not happy with the win. Now, our next match is a singles competition. These two know each other pretty well. We got, of course, the Tropical Wild, Yuna Mizumori, and taking on the founder and leader of Ganbare Pro, Kenoka. And of course, they did whoa, 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 back communications. I just, I love that song. But this match was so intense. Now you can say it that there's like some unresolved issues between those two. Not in like outside the ring, but inside. But it kind of fits in pretty well. But I was a bit surprised in this particular match that Kenoka won, because I would have assumed Yuna would have won because she has the advantage in this one, but no. So she picked up a very good win. Now our next match, we have tag team action. We got the Egg Tarts, Chiko Shikawa and Shone Hagane taking on Sayaka and Balinaki. Now keep in mind, in this particular day, it also took place on the 9th of July, which is Saturday. Meishura couldn't be there because she had to be ready for her big match in Tokyo Joshi Pro, which I already did. This event took place prior before that. So I'm sorry I put this one later, because that's how I was trying to catch up with those events. But anyway, basically it was a pretty good match, but however, I felt that this was going to fall in favor of the Egg Tarts. The reason is that many times I've seen, not to take away Sayaka, I mean, she has been very improving in her wrestling skills. I think she might have won a couple of tag team matches, but not single matches. But this one, I felt it was going to go in favor of the Egg Tarts. Once I saw that Hagane put her in a submission, Chiko Shikawa had Balinaki right where she needed him, and that's how it ended. Now, as for our Jonkin tournament, did not anticipate a few wrestlers that would have been that could have gone all the way. I mean, Masa is one of them who I've seen win. I seen Balinaki, but no, he was eliminated in the second round. But the one person I did not anticipate, it was, of course, Sayaka Obihiro. So she picked up the win, and she won the chocolate. So I thought it was a pretty good show, so I can't wait to see 244, which they send Balinaki away on his 2-month tour. So I think that's it. Let's move on with NWA USA. Alright, our final review is going to be NWA USA. We have the opening match, Jack Stan taking on Adorable Anthony. As you know, Jack Stan, being Jack Stan, doesn't give a damn in the world, but this was a non-title match for the national championship, which he's been trying to avoid ever since he became champion. Not to mention that little weasel of attorney of his is trying to prevent that from ever happening. But sooner or later, his luck is going to run out, or as James Storm would say, sorry about your damn luck. But today was not the luck of Adorable Anthony until he got lariat by Jack Stain. But all of a sudden, as soon as he won the match, he acted kind of weird. He would approach the commentary section over something. And Joe Gallo's like, did we owe him money? I don't know what was that all about, but looks like he's not happy or whatever. He's probably going through one of those temper tantrums. I don't know. Now, Kyle Davis, as you know, does his interview. He gets Nick Aldis to talk about certain things. You know, how he will consider himself to be the real world champion no matter what people would say, and all this and that. So that kind of goes a long way. So we know that there is a lot of things he can do. So we'll find out. Even though he did not get to say anything like this on NWA Power, he thought this would be a perfect opportunity on NWA USA to do that. Now, speaking that, we see May Valentine doing her interview with Jack Dumas. He doesn't give a talk or say anything. He just doesn't care. However, Matt Valentine was talking to CJ. We all know who that is. That's Christy James. CJ was in fact talking to her in Brazilian, in Portuguese. If you guys know this or not, May Valentine is actually born from Brazil, so that would make a lot of sense, and I thought it was a great moment. Now, our next match, we have Genocide versus Angelina Love. This was a perfect opportunity for Angelina Love to get her feet wet, but however, something went into a different direction. She went outside the ring, but the ref was calling for the count out, and she was approaching Velvet Sky. I don't know what was the purpose. So Velvet Sky tried to say, "You got to go back. You're gonna get counted out." So it's still unclear what is going on. Why did she walk away from it? You know, it made no absolute sense. But sooner or later, it will come out. We just don't know when or where. Now, our next one, we have Russ Freeman and his big little brother show up. He wants to get his hands on Trevor Murdoch, but Kyle Davis is like, "Are you insane?" Yes, I am. Well, like we say this. Rest in peace. So anyway, let's move on. Hawksari, as you know, did an interview with May Valentine. Now keep in mind, Luke Hawks is not happy with Homicide, but the one thing he is pissed off is Kobe Corino. If you remember in Always Ready, he sent his little mercenaries, the Fixers, Jay Bradley and Wrecking Ball, to attack his son. Now, Kobe has issues with PJ Hawks. The reason is he thinks that, oh, PJ is not a legit second generation wrestler like him. I mean, he is. His father's a wrestler. That's the thing, but he doesn't see it that way. So basically, he's going to get his hands on him. Now, there's this new segment called Stanley Drills where he talks to Mercurio, this Italian guy. I don't know who he is. He's acting like a very cocky guy, like saying there's things that we don't want to hear. That sort of thing. I don't know what was that whole deal. But anyway, our next interview with May Valentine, as you know, May revealed to Camille that Kylan King is acting like her gatekeeper. Now, Camille has respect for Kylan King, but she's like saying, I don't need no gatekeeper. So I say whatever that scenario is going on, it's still unclear, but we'll see. Now, our main event is the NWA Junior Heavyweight Championship that was defended proudly by Homicide, but VSK of the Cardonas want to strip that title and bring it home to the Cardonas. Unfortunately, none of the usual tricks worked, but the Koji Cutter did not work with VSK the first time, but he did an avalanche Koji Cutter onto VSK and allowed him to retain the title. So this must be a big blow for the Cardona family. So I think that's pretty much it right now. So let's move on with some news updates. I mentioned this in the last news updates in the last episode about a new Joshi wrestler making her debut in Ganbare Pro. Now, the identity of this new Joshi wrestler, I don't know who she is. I don't recall if I ever seen her. Her name is Yoshiko Hasegawa. Now, I don't know much about her, but this is what I did discovered. She was trained by Yumiko Hoda, if you guys know who she is. She worked with Actress Girls and Ice Ribbon between 2019 and 2020, but since 2021 she's been a freelancer since then. So I have to say it's a great moment for, you know, Ganbare Pro to have her. As you know, most of their wrestlers in mostly the Joshi wrestlers in Ganbare Pro are freelancers, so it wouldn't be surprising they would show up there. Now, speaking of Joshi wrestlers, this was reported by Fightful Select. For all you Jungle Kyona fans out there here in the States, it's been reported that Jungle Kyona is planning to make a travel to the U.S. after she spent 2 years out of actions. So she will be making appearances in promotions. Um, Sumi Sakai has been taking care of her bookings. So as you guys recall, last year she made the decision to, if you guys remember, she was injured in the fall of 2020. She ruptured an ACL and dislocated her shoulder, but she left Stardom last year after 6 years being in there. But the last match we seen her in was at the Hana Kimura, where she faced up Kyoko Kimura. So that's pretty much exciting news for all y'all fans out there. Now, for all you Marko Stunts fans out there, you may have heard what's been going on. This was reported by Fightful Select when they got this from an NBC Sports Boston interview. Turns out that Marko Stunt is going to be busy starting his own promotion in this September in his hometown in Memphis, Tennessee. He wanted to do that. This is one of his goals that he always wanted to do. As you know, many wrestlers have been doing that recently, starting their own promotions. But you probably say it's going to be hard. Well, according to what Marko Stunt said, he's been helping out with a wrestling show in Missouri. He learned from the booker there, so he learned a lot. So basically, he's trying to learn how to run a promotion, that sort of thing. Now, as I mentioned this before, I did not mention on the Tokyo Joshi review. Tokyo Joshi Pro has announced that they will be unveiling a brand new logo. I'm excited for it because, you know, it will be unveiled on August 28th. Now, as you know, I've been talking what matches have been announced for Terminus 3. New one has been announced with Adam Priest versus Will Ferraro, so this one is going to be interesting. Now, more on the Konosuke Takeshita expedition. It was announced by Progress Wrestling that he will be participating in the Deadly Viper Tour against Robbie X. Now, no official date has been announced, but I'm sure it will take place soon. Now, finally, for all you Ice Ribbon fans out there, now if you guys have Ice Ribbon English channel, it was revealed that the English channel is run by Yappy, this Filipino wrestler who's been working with this company for a while. Turns out, due to her illness, she'll be taking a leave of absence for a month. The international operations will be ceased for the time being, and they apologize. However, I do have a bit of a statement on her Twitter page regarding to what took place. So this is what she said. I'm sorry, everyone. I tried to push myself to able to do at least office work. Again, it bit me in the ass, big time. And now I'm completely bedridden for at least a month. Looking forward to sharing good times with you again once I recover. So basically, her illness was getting a little worse. She couldn't do office work. Would have been fine, but this happened. So I think we're okay right now with this whole thing. So no worries. I know it's gonna suck that we have to do the translation if you guys are Ice Ribbon fans. So I think that's pretty much it what we got. So let's call it a day. Well, I'm sure you probably guessed right now that me reviewing Stardom Midsummer Champions was long. The truth to be told, the one thing that took longer was in fact the elimination match between Cosmic Angels with Colors to take on DDM. That was a bit of a surprise, and I must confess, I cried. And I always say this every single time, it's okay to cry, damn it. But the reason I cried was because it was a fantastic story, but it was good. I hope we can get more stories like that again. I mean, I literally cried. So I did enjoy reviewing Tokyo Joshi Pro and everything else. There'll be more. However, I am determined to see, hopefully, the Ganbare Pro show. Sekihara is uploaded because I requested from the guys from wrestling, watchprowrestling.org, if there's any chance they can put that up. Hopefully they got my message. because the reason I want to see that is Unagi Sayaka was in the event, taking on her former mentor Yuna Manaze, who's also trained, ironically, not Soup Boy, Sayu Onoi. Who else did she train? Oh yeah, and Tam Nakano. Oh yeah, Minoru Suzuki's also made an appearance there. So I thought it was, hopefully we get to see, I get to see that. But right now, for the next episode, I know we'll cover Choco Pro 244, which is the last time we will see Balinaki, and hopefully we do have the New Japan Strong, which I apologize that I did not do. Uh, well, thing is, it wasn't uploaded in the watchprowrestling.org. I could not access it to the New Japan on demand. The reason is that is I don't know exactly what it is, but you get the idea. But for now, I'll see you guys in the next DWZ time. Same DWZ channel. I must bid all of you adieu. So, goodbye. Mwah. And have a nice day. Bang.